Seahawks Nation, I'm not gonna lie to you. My brain has been running in two different directions all week, and honestly, that's a good problem to have. We've got two stories developing at the exact same time, and when you actually stack them next to each other, you start to see the blueprint. You start to see what Mike Macdonald and this front office are actually building as we count down to training camp. On one side of the ball, we've got real smoke around a former Pro Bowl pass rusher. A guy whose name keeps getting connected to Seattle by people who actually cover this league for a living. And this isn't some random internet rumor pulled out of thin air either. This guy has history in our building. He wore the jersey before. He balled out under Mike Macdonald when the two of them were together in Baltimore, and we're talking real production, double-digit sacks close, forced fumbles, pressure numbers that jump off the page. That connection is not manufactured. It's real, it's documented, and it's exactly why this rumor has legs, instead of just fading out by the weekend. And on the flip side, at the exact same time, our backfield just got a whole lot more complicated. One of our running backs is now on the physically unable to perform list, and almost immediately after that news dropped, a name started popping up in trade chatter. A young, cheap running back sitting on a rookie deal on another AFC roster. A guy who could slide in as insurance behind Jadeveon Price if Seattle decides to pull the trigger. So sit with that for a second. Seahawks Nation. One storyline is about adding a proven, battle-tested veteran to a defense that already hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. The other storyline is about protecting a backfield that just took a real hit before camp even opens. Two completely different problems on paper, but honestly, the same underlying mission. This front office is not interested in standing still just because they're the defending champs. I'm going to break both of these down piece by piece, tell you exactly who's involved, separate what's confirmed from what's still just speculation, and get into what it actually means for this roster heading into camp. But before I dive in, if you're locked in with this team the way I am, go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't yet. We are grinding our way toward 5,000 subscribers, and I mean that every single one of you watching right now is part of what gets us there. Okay, let's get into it. Jadeveon Clowney. Let's start here because this is the name that's been buzzing all week. Think about this for a second. The guy is 33 years old. He's a proven, accomplished pass rusher, and he's still sitting out there as an unrestricted free agent with training camp roughly 2 weeks away. 2 weeks! For a player with his resume, that's genuinely a little surprising to me. You'd think a guy with his track record would have had his market settled by now. But here's the thing, it's not because nobody wants him. It's the opposite. Multiple national insiders have Seattle listed among the real, legitimate landing spots for him. CBS Sports had us named as one of 5 serious contenders, sitting right there alongside Houston, Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago. That's not a throwaway mention. That's a media outlet doing their homework and coming back with our name attached. And out of all 5 of those teams, I genuinely think Seattle makes the most sense, and here's my reasoning. First, Clowney has already worn the jersey. Back in 2019, he suited up for the Seahawks, and by his own words publicly, part of what drew him here in the first place was the culture, the identity, the belief inside that locker room. That stuff matters more than people give it credit for when a veteran is picking his next home. But the bigger factor, the piece that really tips the scale for me, is Mike Macdonald. When Clowney played for the Ravens back in 2023, Macdonald was calling the defense as the coordinator. And under that exact system, Clowney didn't just show up and collect a paycheck. He had one of the best seasons of his career. 9.5 sacks, 5 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles, and over 70 quarterback pressures on the year. That's an elite, top-tier season for an edge rusher at any age, let alone deep into his 30s. So when you line all of that up, a head coach who has already proven he knows how to unlock Clowney's best football, a locker room and organization he's already familiar with, and a defense that just won a championship while leaning hard on rotational edge depth. I'll be straight with you, Seahawks Nation. This fit makes a lot of sense on paper. Now, am I telling you it's a done deal? Ink on paper? Contract signed? No, not even close. He's had conversations with teams before that never turned into anything, so I'm not going to sit here and promise you he's putting on the jersey. But I do think, out of every team connected to him right now, this is the most logical destination on his list. And if this front office is serious about running it back and defending that Super Bowl, bringing in a proven veteran who already knows how to thrive in this exact defensive system would be a smart, relatively low-risk addition. I'll be honest with you, part of me can't help but picture him lining up opposite our current pass rush group, and that's a genuinely scary thought for opposing offensive tackles. That's the kind of edge rotation that makes offensive coordinators lose sleep. But while we're all sitting here dreaming about the defense getting even more terrifying, there's something happening on the offensive side of the ball that deserves just as much of our attention. Maybe more, honestly. Something in the backfield that could shape how this offense looks in Week 1. Stick with me, because that story is coming up right now. And hey, real quick, if you're new to the channel, this is the perfect time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and drop a like while you're at it. We're chasing 5,000 subscribers together, and every single person who joins in gets us that much closer to the goal, right? Let's talk about the backfield, because this one's got my full attention. Zach Charbonnet has officially been placed on the physically unable to perform list. That injury traces all the way back to the divisional round of the playoffs in January, so this is not a fresh camp tweak. This has been lingering. And now, heading into this season, there is real, genuine uncertainty about when he actually gets back on the field. From what I'm seeing and hearing, most projections point toward a mid to late season return at the earliest. That is not a quick 2-week fix, Seahawks Nation. That's a legitimate chunk of the season we're talking about missing. Johnson is currently in Pittsburgh, still on his rookie contract, which makes him a cheap, low-cost asset to move if the Steelers decide to go that direction. His rookie season didn't really pop the way a lot of evaluators expected coming out of college, and right now he's fighting for snaps behind Eli Herrick and Travis Homer, two backs who bring more all-around versatility on offense and on special teams. So from Pittsburgh's perspective, moving him honestly makes a decent amount of sense too. It's a mutually logical situation. Now I want to be completely straight with you here. There are no formal talks reported at this stage. This is speculation right now, not a done deal, not even close to one. But given where we sit with the injury situation, it's not hard to understand why Seattle keeps getting mentioned as a landing spot. It would be a low-cost, low-risk move that gives Price real, legitimate backup instead of throwing an entire rookie season's worth of workload onto his shoulders right out of the gate. Personally, I like the logic behind it. I'm not saying mortgage a bunch of draft capital to go get him. That would be overkill for a role player. But if it's a cheap ad that stabilizes the running back room while Charbonnet works his way back to health, I'm fully on board with that move. What I don't want to see is Price getting overworked in Week 1 simply because we didn't add enough support behind him heading into the season. That's the kind of thing that turns a promising rookie year into an injury-riddled one, and nobody wants that. So now, Seahawks Nation, put both of these stories side by side for a second and really think about what they're telling us. On defense, we've got a real chance to add a proven championship-caliber veteran in Jadeveon Clowney, a guy who has already thrived under Mike McDonald's exact system before. That's a move that takes a defense that already won it all and makes it even scarier for opposing offenses. But on offense, we've got a genuine injury concern at running back and a depth chart that needs reinforcement, and it needs it fast before camp battles even really get going. To me, that paints the picture of a team that isn't just sitting back and coasting on its championship. They're actively managing the roster in real time. One side of the ball is about getting stronger. The other side is about protecting what we've already built. That's not a red flag by any means, but it absolutely is a pay attention moment for this front office over the next 2 weeks leading into camp. If you ask me, I'd call this a cautiously optimistic. We're a Super Bowl team that's still looking to add proven pieces on defense while simultaneously patching up a real need on offense. That tells me the front office is staying sharp instead of getting complacent. But I want to actually see them pull the trigger on one of these moves, not just stay linked to it in the rumor mill for weeks on end while nothing happens. Talk is cheap, Seahawks Nation. Action is what wins championships back-to-back. That's everything I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We are chasing 5,000 subscribers together, and every single one of you watching gets us closer to that number. Drop your take down in the comments. I want to know. Are you more excited about the idea of Clowney coming back? Or are you more worried about how this backfield situation plays out with Charbonnet sidelined for a stretch? Here's how I see it overall, and I mean this. These two stories together tell me Seattle has zero interest in getting comfortable just because they won it all. This front office is still actively hunting for ways to strengthen the roster, whether that's bringing back a proven, familiar veteran like Jadeveon Clowney to make an already dominant defense even more dangerous, or keeping a close eye on the trade market to shore up depth at running back while Charbonnet continues working his way back from injury. And look, it's worth repeating. Right now, both of these are still just rumors and speculation. Nothing is confirmed, nothing is signed, nothing is official. That's worth keeping in the back of your mind before you get too far ahead of yourself. But the fact that the Seahawks keep getting connected to moves like these tells you this organization has every intention of staying aggressive, staying ready to improve a roster that already enters this season as one of the true favorites to compete for it all again. So now it really comes down to watching how the next few weeks of training camp unfold and seeing whether these rumors actually turn into real, confirmed additions, or whether Seattle ultimately decides to roll forward with the players already on the roster and trust the depth they've got. I want to hear from you on this one, Seahawks Nation. If this decision was in your hands, would you bring Jadeveon Clowney back into the fold? And on the running back side, do you think the front office should go out and trade for extra depth? Or do you trust Jadarian Price to carry the load on his own until Charbonnet is fully healthy and back on the field? Let me know exactly what you think down in the comments. I read every single one of them, I mean that. If you got something out of this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already part of the family, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown when news drops. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers together, and every single one of you watching right now makes a real difference in getting us there. Thanks for riding with me, Seahawks Nation. I'll see you in the next one.